Hi everyone, welcome again to another video. Now, I got a question recently about terrestrial flies. What's one of the first terrestrial type flies you'll see on the lochs and rivers? And it's excuse me, it's a black gnat. Now I'll put a picture up of one of the black gnats, or natural anyway, so you can actually see what it looks like. Now, best pattern, go back to me. Now, this is the Griffiths gnat. It's probably the best known pattern for the black gnat, and it's very simple flies. Peacock kettle with a grizzle hackle up the body. It's quite simple to take. You just basically take the thread down, tie in your hackle, peacock kettle, bring your peacock kettle up, bring your hackle up through, and that is it. The only thing I would do times, keep it full at first, full hackle, especially in the lochs, you get away with that. The only other thing I would do, I'd trim away the underside of the hackle so you get a better presentation, you get a more flatter presentation on the surface, because the fish do look for that imprint, that mark. Now, one of the other flies I like is this one here when the gnat's on, but it's good for a few other flies as well. This is just the wee foam gnat. It's much the same. This one has a couple of this case white parapost so I can see it. I like these in basically if I was under trees and it's quite hard to see the black gnat. This is really hard to see at times, so I would probably change to this one so that with the white parapost I can see it a bit better. Now you can change that even to, you could put it on as pink or you could orange, a colour that basically sits out. It just depends on the light. Now the wing length can change, you can have it quite long, short, you could just have a wee single post. It's entirely up to yourself. I tie it all different ways. I mean, to be honest with you, the same pattern, there's the red ant. This one's got a wee bit longer wing, but then you can always trim it back. So again, this fly is very versatile. It will represent the black gnat, it will represent a small ant. Most people will look at it and think it's an ant, but it's a very good gnat. But it's a very good housefly even, which gets blown on, especially onto the rivers. When there's a lot of cattle, especially around the river, there's tons of these flies getting blown around. You'll see them around the heads of especially the cattle. So, but anyway, I'll show you how to tie it. Now it's quite simple fly to tie. I'll put my wax on. A lot of people ask me about the wax, why I use it. Well, firstly, these are, you can see it says on there 80. This is uni-thread obviously. It's 200 yards and it's 80W. The W stands for wax. So basically these are wax, but they're wax for a reason, to make them run smoothly, especially when they've been wound onto a spool. They don't jam up, and the wax will strengthen or help stop wear in the thread. Now, when it comes to certain points, especially tying the hackles on and off, and wings on, it's always best just to put a wee bit of wax on your thread, and especially when you're putting it onto say the hook, it gives you a bit more grip. So it does, and it doesn't unravel the same. If you bump the thread, if it's just normal thread, the thread can bounce back and unravel, but with the wax thread it gives you a bit more grip. And if you do let go, I'll show you if I wax my thread. So if you let that go, it's going to unravel. Now if I put the wax area on, 2 or 3 turns, if you look, see how it's stuck. Now that's what happens when you wax your thread. So it is pre-waxed as I said, but it's not enough at times. Now what you want to do is take your thread down, say at least the area where you're going to tie in most of the materials. Now hook choice, now I'm using this hook here. It's a wide gape hook obviously. This is a Fulling Mill, it's 5065 as they say, Czech Nymph. Now you you probably see me using this a lot. It's a great hook for a lot of flies, emergers, dries. I mean, people must be getting sick of me holding this hook because it hooks well. For a babbless, it does really well for me. They do a wide gape, a short shank special, so if you want a barbed version, that's the hook I would go for because it's got the wide gape again. So there's lots of hooks out there. You always have a favourite, and this is one of my favourite. Now I'm tying this on as 20, as you can see. Now I would definitely tie it 3 or 4 different sizes or more even, depending on what species of fly you're trying to represent. It could be the hawthorn, heather fly, depending on the colour of the foam, it could be a crane fly. I mean, the foam cylinders I cut, even olive. I mean, you know, it's very good for midge, for adult midge. I mean, it goes on and on. Now to cut the foam, you can buy the foam cutters. Now you'd probably find them, more likely to find them on eBay. The foam cutters usually come in about 3 or 4 sizes. This one here's 3mm. Now these fit into a drill, and you just get the foam, this close cell foam, and you just drill it through, drill it. Now there's a couple of companies do it. This one's from Fulling Mill. There's Wopsy do the block foam. It's high dense foam it's called. Both are very good. I especially like this colour. This is kind of, if I would call it burnt orange. I don't know what colour this is. I can't remember now. But what I'll do, I'll put a link to the foam on below the video so you can actually see it. So anyway, it's quite simple. Now what I like to do is to get this nice taper at the back so you get a nicer shape. All you do is take the, put it to a slight point. Now that should always reduce the foam that's there. Excuse me. So you just lightly put the lighter through it, and that will give you a nice taper. Take away the cut marks as well. And then we can tie the fly. Now the fly is very simple. Now to tie the body and basically the head area, it's quite, that means, I say, this is a very simple fly. Now you obviously, if you think about the body length of the fly you're trying to represent, now it's probably around about 1 centimetre long or so, the body of this fly. So we catch it in. Usually, as I say, take the thread down, bring the thread up to about maybe 2 head lengths away from the eye, and then I usually, nice and tight, come back down through. Now hackle, I'm using a Grizzle hackle. I did have a nice one sitting. Now I like it quite short. You can have it as long if you want, but in this style, especially with the wing, I like it a wee bit shorter. So within the gape anyway, between the point to from the shank here and the point of the hook. So we catch this on, 3 or 4 turns, and then you bring the thread up about 2/3 of the way. Now I've got the Parapost, white Parapost. Now it's, to give you an idea how thick it should be, so that's the normal thickness. Now I'm going to reduce it by half, just separate it, and you get 2 lengths, trim it off, and then we want to tie it on, so you can basically bring it underneath. Just come underneath the thread and lift it on the top. You've got to work with a wee bit of length so you can separate it from the hackle. So we just then do a figure 8 through, nice and tight. Now you can have it more midge-like, so it's sitting back, or maybe even more like a dun if you want, or you can have it straight up, as I say, it's up to yourself. I like to spread it a wee bit. So I'm just going to trim this out of the way. So then what you want to do, once you've tied the wing in, you want to then bring your hackle up. About 2 or 3 turns there, depends on how good the feather is. Take the wing out of the way. Do a turn there, I think I've got one of the fibres. Bring that up. Now once you get to here, you can actually catch the hackle on the back of the foam here. You don't want to take any fibres forward, but then I usually like to come forward with a turn or so. I don't mind the odd fibre. as long as the hackle's well tied in, it'll not pull out. Trim this away. And then what we do, go straight in and wet finish, but I'm going to put some varnish on my thread. A wee lick of varnish about from the eye down, so that when we wet finish, it's nice and clean. Trim that away. So say the wing length, the head, just could be as big as you want. If you want more ant-like, you want more. But I like to see the head, it helps to float the fly, so it's up to you. Just you mess around. Length, longer than the hackle length. Just trim both at the same time. There we are. As I say, you can, with much like the Black Gnat, you can keep the hackle full if you want. Don't trim it at this point, especially in the locks. But if you want to trim it, I'll do that so you can see. And you can put legs in this as well if you're tying it in bigger sizes, especially when you're doing hoppers. You can put hopper legs on it, pre-knotted pheasant tail legs or something like that. There we are, that's it. That's simple wee fly. As I say, it's easy to tie. I mean, I would tie it in a third of the time if I wasn't talking about the fly. So you can really fill your box. I mean, you can have a handful. As I said, try them different sizes. So there's the wee foam one, the wee red ant sight. It's much exactly the same. The only difference is I've used a brown hackle and that kind of burnt orange foam. As I say, I'll put a link in under the video. You can go a wee bit bigger, so it's always worth having bigger sizes, slightly longer in the body. Just mess around, just tie them different ways. As I say, it's simple, it floats, you can see it. It's good for targeting these fish when they're sipping these gnats in, and they'll suddenly come on. The best time to see a black gnat is when you get, say it's been raining through the night, or even just you get a shower and the ground's damp, and then you get a really warm sunshine, and that encourages the hatch. Like, this is what brings these on. The other fly it brings on in the same sort of way is what we call the coo dung, which is basically a fly, you get it on the cows, where they do the toilet obviously. They lay the eggs on them, but the hatch, that will encourage a hatch at certain times of the year, and you can have versions to suit that. You can have a kind of yellow olive type coloured body, it works really well. And the Griffiths gnat works, bigger versions of this, but change the colour of the body to a dirty olive, and that will work for the coo dung, as we say. But as the original question was, what's the first terrestrial we see on the rivers and lochs? And I would say would probably be this, the black gnat. It could be as well, you get beetles early in the season. That's another thing you can see, especially in the lochs. You get a few beetles appearing, but this is one of the first definite terrestrials you'll find on the rivers and the lochs. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and again, thanks for watching.